So here's a quick question. When was the last time you actually moved enough to feel it? And I don't mean strolling to the kitchen to get another cake from the fridge. I mean genuinely moved, got your heart rate up, a little bit warm, slightly out of breath. For a lot of people, the honest answer is longer ago than they'd like to admit. And that's not a judgment. Modern life is basically a very comfortable trap. Escalators, drive-throughs, Uber Eats, working from home. The body was built for a world that no longer asks much of it. Welcome, or welcome back, to the new 5 a day. I'm Nick Walters, and this is Be Active, episode 3. Today, cardio. What it actually is, why the evidence for it is genuinely extraordinary, and how to build more of it into your day without turning your life upside down. No gym, no hour set aside, no running shoes required. Sound good? Okay, let's go. So cardio has got a bit of a branding problem. If you say the word, then most people are going to picture someone grimly running on a treadmill at 6 o'clock in the morning, sweating cobs. But that's not what we're talking about. Cardiovascular exercise is any activity that gets your heart beating faster and keeps it there for a sustained period using large muscle groups. That's it. The defining feature isn't speed or sweat or suffering. It's just that your heart and lungs are working noticeably harder than when you're sitting still. And that means a 20-minute walk with the dog is cardio. Cycling to the shops is cardio. Mowing the lawn at a decent pace is cardio. Now, dancing in the kitchen on a Friday night, now that is absolutely definitely cardio. These aren't consolation prizes for people who can't get to the gym. They are the real thing itself. So cardio is one of the 4 macros we're going to be covering in Be Active, alongside strength, flexibility, and balance. But cardio is the foundation, it's the engine that the rest of the system runs on. And the evidence for what it does is some of the most consistent and robust in all of health science. So let's take a quick tour of what regular cardio actually does. Start with your heart. Regular aerobic activity strengthens the heart muscle. It lowers blood pressure, improves cholesterol, and keeps blood vessels healthier. People who are regularly active have substantially lower rates of cardiovascular disease, which is still the leading cause of death in most high-income countries. This is not a marginal effect. It's a large effect, and it's consistent across study after study. Now, blood sugar and type 2 diabetes. Aerobic exercise improves the body's ability to manage glucose, both immediately after the exercise and as a longer-term adaptation. Next, cancer. Active people have lower rates of several cancers, including bowel, breast, and womb, a finding that often surprises people and one solid enough to sit in official cancer prevention guidelines. The one that lands differently is mental health. Regular aerobic exercise reliably reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety, not vaguely, but measurably. A 2023 overview covering hundreds of studies found consistent effects in a range comparable to psychological therapies for mild to moderate depression. That happens partly because exercise triggers mood-regulating brain chemicals. It reduces the stress response, and it improves sleep quality. And over the long term, habitual activity is linked to a reduced risk of cognitive decline and dementia. So that's the heart, diabetes, cancer, mood, sleep, brain, mental health. That's an extraordinary return for what turns out to be a fairly modest investment of time. So here's one of the most practically useful findings in this space. Research tracking step counts against health outcomes across millions of people has found that getting to around 7,000 steps a day is associated with roughly a 40 to 50% lower risk of dying from any cause compared with people who are largely sedentary. And the biggest gains come at the bottom of the scale, moving from very low activity to 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day produces the largest measurable drop in risk. Now, you've probably heard of the 10,000 steps requirement. Now, this was never a clinical recommendation. It came from a 1960s Japanese marketing campaign for a pedometer and it stuck. There's no science there. 10,000 is fine, it's more than fine. But the evidence points closer to 7,000 or 8,000 as the real sweet spot. The number that matters most isn't any specific target. It's simply the number that's a bit higher than what you did yesterday. So, how much cardio activity do the health guidelines actually recommend? The figure you'll hear most is 150 minutes of moderate activity per week. The World Health Organization, the NHS, US guidelines all broadly agree. Spread across 5 days, that's 30 minutes a day. A brisk walk at lunchtime. A small cycle ride to work. Now, moderate means body gets a bit warm, you get slightly out of breath, but you're still able to hold a conversation. And here's the underused finding. It doesn't need to be done in one big long block. US guidelines dropped the old 10-minute minimum rule in 2018 after evidence showed that accumulated activity across the day produces equivalent benefits. 3 10-minute walks are physiologically comparable to one 30-minute walk, which matters enormously if your day hasn't got a 30-minute slot free. But maybe you can find 10 minutes. I think that probably matches how most of us live our lives. The most reliable approach isn't scheduling separate times for a workout that you're going to skip. It's releasing the movement that's already there in your busy day. Take a brief walk after meals. This one has a particularly strong evidence base. A 10 to 15 minute walk after eating helps your body manage blood sugar significantly better than sitting still. And it has a natural attachment point. You've just had a nice meal. A gentle walk is genuinely pleasant. Use the stairs. It's brief, it's accessible, there's no equipment. Get off the bus or the train one stop early and walk the rest, provided you feel safe. Next, make chores count. Vacuuming, mopping, brisk gardening at a pretty decent pace. These all genuinely raise your heart rate, and they're happening anyway. The next thing is to find something you really enjoy. It might be swimming or cycling, dancing or five-a-side, a Zumba class, a nice walking route. There's no objective hierarchy of cardio activities. What matters is that it raises your heart rate and that you'll actually do it. Enjoyment isn't a luxury extra. It's central to whether a habit's going to stick or not. If a continuous 30-minute session feels like too much for you, then take 3-minute walks, morning, lunchtime, after dinner. That works just as well. And for some people, that's simply easier to maintain. Now, behaviors attached to something you already do are far easier to maintain than ones that require something new from scratch. So rather than telling yourself, I should walk more, try, I'll walk for 10 to 15 minutes after dinner. A few things that may help. Start smaller than you think you need to. The goal in the early weeks isn't about this amazing fitness goal. It's about building the habit. And 5 minutes every day beats 45 minutes once in a fortnight. Track something simple. Don't get a big complex app. Just, did I move today? Roughly how many steps? A small sense of visible progress makes the next session just that little bit more likely. And then walk with somebody if you can. Physical activity, together with social connection, they overlap for a really good reason. Having company gives you accountability, you'll support each other, and the conversation makes the time feel shorter. One thing worth remembering, the relationship between effort and benefit is steepest at the low end. If you're doing very little, moving to a modest amount produces larger proportional gains than somebody who's already got pretty high fitness getting a little bit higher. You don't need to be fit before you start benefiting from being more active. You can go for it anytime. Be active is pillar 3 of the new 5 a day, and cardio is its foundation. It's the engine that everything else runs on. None of this requires any kind of dramatic overhaul. 3 things to take away from today. Number 1, cardio is any sustained activity that raises your heart rate. A brisk walk counts. Dancing counts. Number 2, the dose response curve is steepest at the low end, so start small and start now. Number 3, your walking sessions, training sessions, dancing sessions, they don't need to be continuous. 3 10-minute walks is equal to 30 minutes. So look, there's a companion deep dive post with full evidence base at our website www.new5aday.com. That's with the number 5. And next time, we're going to take a look at reading as a great way to spend some quality me time. So until then, take care and just try to move a little bit more than you did yesterday.